Number 11. 2020 taught me, yeah, I think 2020 taught me that the time that you have is enough. You know how we always make excuses about the fact that, oh, if I had more time, I would write more books. If I had more time, I would, write more music. I would create more recipes. I would spend time with my family. If I had more time, I would pray more. I would study the word more. I will preach the gospel more. 2020 gave us time, and a lot of us still didn't achieve our goals. A lot of us still didn't. And so 2020 just taught me that, see, stop complaining. Time is not your problem. It's you that are not taking responsibility. So yeah, we have enough time. We have enough time. I mean, God is wise. He gave us 24 hours in a day. There's a reason why. He knows we have enough time. So 2020 taught me to focus on the time that I do have and stop complaining about the one I don't have. Do what you can with the time that is given to you, because it's more than enough. It's more than enough. Everyone gets the same amount of time, because that's just the exact time that we need. So I learned that the time we have is enough. Number 12. 12th lesson I learned is that you need to take action. Okay? Take action. No matter how things look, whether it's working or not, just keep moving. That was one of the biggest lessons I learned in 2020. Just be moving first. Just be going. If God tells you to do something, just be moving. Because interestingly, there were things that I felt like, oh, this is something I need to do. And I'm still thinking it through. And then I'll just go on social media and the next day somebody's doing it. I'm like, wow, God, you didn't even give me 2 minutes before you moved on. There's no more time. So just keep moving. Just keep moving. Take action. When God gives you instruction, take action. If you have an idea, take action. Like I said before, that we have enough time. So let's stop complaining. Just move. Just move when you're giving instruction, okay? Don't sit around thinking too much. All the other things to put together, that life is fleeting. You never know. Here to take on tomorrow kind of thing. No one promised you tomorrow, So Uncle James, we studied Uncle James. If you join me on Praying with Pastor M, we studied the book of James. I would call him Uncle James because he was Jesus' brother and Jesus is our brother, so he's our uncle. He kept saying, no one promised you tomorrow. So for people who boast that, oh, tomorrow I will do so and so, I will do that. And he said, no one promised you tomorrow. In fact, that's a sign of arrogance. What you need to say is, if the Lord wills, tomorrow I will do this, tomorrow I'll do that. But while you still have the opportunity, move. While you still can. So I think that's one of the things I learned, to just keep moving. Another thing I learned in 2020, I think number 13, is the fact that we will survive. No matter how much bad news I heard last year, one of the strongest things in my heart was the fact that I knew that we would survive this somehow. How I didn't know, but I knew. And 2020 taught me that there may be craziness all around you. There may be madness all around you. There may be people dropping dead, In fact, last year, Psalm 91 became the most read psalm in the world, if you ask me. Because everyone was quoting, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord. Who were just quoting it? 1,000 shall fall by my side, 10,000 by my left. It shall not come near me, only with my ears. I heard it so many times last year. And I just kept thinking to myself, the bottom line of that scripture is that because I have God on my side, I will make it. I will survive. Worst that can happen, is that Jesus will come and get us. But last, we will be fine, So I think that's a major lesson I learned last year, that we'll survive. We'll get through it. We'll beat this. We'll get through it. And that's exactly what happened at the end of the year. At the end of the year, we realized that, we beat this. We actually did. It may continue, it may get worse, but we will survive. Okay, so that's another lesson I learned in 2020. Number 14. I think this is this one. I can't even play with this one. 2020 taught me not to forget about the simple things. 2020 simplified everything for me. And I mean literally everything. How our lives felt so busy before this was unbelievable. How we felt like you have to catch a plane, you have to do this, if you're not, you have to be in Abuja, then you have to be in Canada, then we'll cross country to Dubai, then we'll turn around, then we'll go to the UK, then we have to preach seminars, we have to do this, we have to do that. And then 2020 just said, you know what? I'm taking all of that away from you. Let me see what you will do now. And then suddenly, the simple things were the things that mattered. Waking up in the morning to my children running and jumping on my bed, everybody jumping at the same time, or reading the Bible with them in the evening, or cooking simple meals where they say, Mommy, can I help? Mommy, can I taste? Just watching TV. There was a time I couldn't remember what that felt like. Reading a novel, like simple things. I began to appreciate simple things. Just sitting down and talking, and not talking about things, not talking about assignments, but simple things. It seemed like there was nothing to do. So we're shut down, we're on lockdown, nothing to do. You're not traveling. What do you do now? So all of a sudden, the simple things were now more important. Laughter, playing, taking a walk became important. I couldn't go anywhere else, so just taking a walk. Sometimes taking a walk with the kids and allowing them ride their bicycle, and they're asking you questions. What bird is that? Those simple things became precious again. Life slowed down. And I think that's one of the things 2020 did for me. Kept reminding me, don't forget the simple things, because those are the things that are important. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about being so busy, traveling, writing books, doing this. Take a breath, a deep breath. So I think 2020 helped me slow down, focus on the simple things. So that's another thing I learned. Don't forget the simple things. Number 15. Number 15. Another thing I learned in 2020 is that your words matter. So be careful what you say. So a lot of people were saying terrible things about 2020. This year is so terrible. I kept saying this is an amazing year for me. This year I will be blessed in every currency. This year will be the year of the unveiling for me. This year will be a year of clarity. This year will be a year of light. This year will be a year of speed. This year the blessing will speak for me and my children and my children's children. And when other people are dying, we'll be well, we'll be strong. I kept saying the right things. Every time I went on social media, especially on Instagram, and I would see someone saying negative things, I would just mute. That was the most beautiful button I discovered in 2020, the mute button. I would just mute you so that I will not quarrel. It's not like I'm not following you, but I don't want to hear what you have to say. So I would just mute, and the person will no longer show up on my timeline. So my confession remained intact. My faith remained strong because of what I was saying. I was saying the right things. 2020 taught me, because a lot of times I would say things, and before I could even think about the effect of what I was saying, the reality had happened. So people would say, oh, this, and I would say, no, my case is different. For me, I'm going to be blessed. For me, in 2020, I'm going to make the most money I've ever made in my life. And that's exactly what happened. It was God orchestrated. Just the words, releasing the words into the air. It really felt like life and every other thing worked together to make sure that it happened. So every other thing was working in alliance with my words to make sure that they came to pass. Okay. So very, very, very important. Number 16. We're almost there, guys. Almost there. Number 16. One of the things I learned, and honestly, it's one of the lessons I've learned all my life, but I think 2020 just amplified it, is the fact that there's always a way. There's always a way. All we have to do is find it. There's always a way. So 2020 made us look at things a bit different. So you can't have in-person services. So what do? There's another way. We do virtual. Oh, you can't have your conference. Blah, blah, blah. What do? We have a virtual conference. In fact, we do a much better conference than having in-person conferences. We can't really print books now. So what do? There's another way. So we do ebooks. We find ways, send PDF versions so people can still journal. It was the year of you have to think outside the box, literally, So it was a year that taught me there's always a way. So every time COVID came up with a no, you can't do this restriction, I had to just retrace and think, so how do we fix this? Because there is a way. And once you think there's a way, you'll find it. Once you think there's a way, you will definitely find the way. Okay. Number 17. Big lesson, life lesson. Number 17. 2020 taught me to trust God. And I don't say that lightly. I know you hear that all the time. Trust God. Not in that way. Like, trust God. Like, literally take your trust and place it in God. 2020 was the year that really taught me to trust God for everything. So I heard things like, some people are prone to having COVID, blah, 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 blah. And by medical standards, I kind of fell into some of that. I said, it will not come near me. And I'm not because I'm bragging, but I'm trusting God to make sure that it doesn't happen. I trusted God for our finances, trusted God for my kids. Even when school went back, some parents were like, I'm not taking my children to school. I say I trust God. Nothing's happening to them. They are burnt offering, the way they are going to that school. Because I need time to rest. Let them go and worry their teachers. I learned to trust God, and he came through. That's the thing about God, though. He never disappoints. Even when we're faithless, he remains faithful because he cannot deny himself. So anytime we put our trust in God, he always shows up. I think it's a love language for God. Like, when you brag on him, he shows up. So 2020 taught me to trust God, because there was no one else we could trust anyway. Couldn't trust the government, couldn't trust medical professionals. Conspiracy theories thrown everywhere, flying all over the place. People were saying all kinds of things. I just learned that my trust had to be in God, because he was the only one that I could rely on. Number 18, 2020 taught me, it's one of the biggest lessons I learned, how to be flexible. We didn't have an option anyway. Things changed so fast, we had to keep up. So it was always one thing or the other changing. So 2020 taught me how to just be flexible and move with the times. Don't think it has to be this way. There's always a way. So a lot of times when there will be new restrictions or new regulations or new things coming up, it was enough to get us discouraged, enough to say, we're not going to do this. But somehow, it taught me to just move with the time. So be flexible, don't be rigid, and I think that that's a lesson that I want to hold on to. I really, really, really want to hold on to that. Like I said, 2020 didn't give us much of a choice anyway. We had to just keep moving as 2020 was moving. We had to keep evolving as 2020 was evolving. We had to keep changing as 2020 was changing. So that's a very important lesson I learned. Number 19. I know you've heard this many times before, but in 2020, it was definitely amplified for me. And that is that tough times never last, but tough people do. And so from that, what I learned was to be strong. So no matter how bad people said things were getting in 2020, I learned that inner strength and your strength in God will help you get through anything, even a pandemic. So yeah, I learned that. I think one of the major things I learned was to be strong in 2020. Never to give up, never to say, I'm done. I just kept pushing, kept moving. Finally, my last lesson. Yes, we're done. So the last one, and the most important, interestingly, most important lesson I learned in 2020 is that God is everything. 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 I don't know how to explain that. I really do feel like my relationship with God last year really helped me to survive everything. It was my source, my sustenance, my joy, my peace, my strength. He gave me expo a lot of times. He would just say, do this. And before I would do it, everybody shouting, Pastor M. I'm like, if you people really knew that I didn't just come from depths of wisdom and years of experience, came from the Lord. God is everything. Family may leave. You may lose everyone. There are people who don't even have family. A lot of people were depressed on the lockdown. A lot of people were alone. The good part is that God is everywhere and he's always with us. So God in me, God for me, God with me. God was everything in 2020. And I believe that in 2021 and in the years to come, I think that would be the one lesson that we should all hold on to. That God is everything. If you lose God, you lose everything. And so that's my 20. I hope it really blesses you. See you guys. Bye.